Well, here we are, folks. It is time for Take 5 for You. And if I'm counting right, this is day 15 in our 31-day journey. And I know this. There are changes being made in those that are listening, those that are journaling, those that are declaring, and those that are acting upon the words of transformation in your life. It can't go any other way. It cannot go any other way. When you intentionally do all of those things, you are intentionally placing your life, your very life, into the hands of God. And He has for you a limitless future. And it is designed only for good, for your good. And as it makes an impact upon you, it cannot help but being transferred to somebody else. Today is Friday. We're in Shabbat, the time of rest. We've already had a message on Shabbat. And I'm going to share a couple of definitions with you talking about rest. Because Shabbat talks about rest. Resting with God. Listening to what He would have for you. I'm going to look at rest from a little bit different. I'm going to read you a definition of rest that's within my Bible. And this definition of rest also has a form of giving. In other words, more commonly used as to give rest. The giving of rest can be accomplished in several ways, one of which is to bring the person to a resting place, a place that is set aside where, you just go and rest. You don't do anything else. You don't do the normal things of your day-to-day life. I have a friend of mine that does this ever so often. He will go away from his home. He has permission of his wife to go, and he will go for 2 to 3 days at a place that is a place of rest for him, where he can take time to just kind of let the rest of God sink into him and to have that special time. We went to a movie today. My wife and I, as a part of our rest today, we went to the movie War Room. I encourage you to go see this movie. It is a movie about moving into a place of rest where you can go to war. I'm going to leave it there. Some of you already know what I'm talking about, and some of you don't. But if you've ever heard the word, I need to go into my prayer closet, that's kind of a cue or a tip. The war room. Look in your closet and see what you find. But it's a form of rest. But let's look at this rest. Rest is another way of bringing freedom from your enemies. Now, you might not have a physical enemy. You might not even have a mental enemy per se. Of course, Satan is always our enemy. He's always roaring around trying to stir up problems, trying to distract us, trying to get us out of our rest. Okay? A person can also have his or her mind set at rest. Sometimes you might have heard this expression, particularly here in the South. Come on and sit and rest a while. Come and sit and rest a while. And a lot of time I see this in my mind as a couple of perhaps older guys or gals sitting on a porch in rocking chairs. Come and sit a spell. Come and rest a while with me. Let's rock away our worries. And beyond the concept of giving rest can also mean, though less commonly, to set something down. In this case, it can mean to just leave things alone. Let it rest. I think maybe you've heard that. You get upset perhaps. And somebody might come up to you and say, just let it rest. Let it go. That's a form of rest. And that's the type of rest that Jesus has for us. That's the type of rest that he really talked about in Matthew, the 11th chapter, in verses 25 through 30. And Jesus says this: I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and the prudent and have revealed them to babes. He's talking about just some younger people that have the need. Also his disciples, they are still babes when it comes to knowing their Father. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in your sight. So it seemed good in your sight that God the Father would take the time and pull Jesus aside with his disciples. All things, he continues on, Jesus says, and all things have been delivered to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, nor does anyone know the Father except the Son, and the one to whom the Son wills to reveal him. What a blessing. Jesus is speaking to his disciple, and he is telling them that I'm revealing things to you that other people, they don't understand. They don't get it. And you see, when you rest with God, you will have the opportunity of things coming into your life that nobody else can see, because you have taken the time to rest. Let's continue on. Jesus says now in verse 28, Come to me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. I will give you rest. Now, Jesus is speaking at a time over 2,000 years ago, and these people had work that they performed. Some of it hard and distressing work, physical labor, not like we do pushing a lot of buttons. Now, I know some of you do some physical labor. I'm not just saying that, but a lot of times we take for granted. We take for granted that we need this time. For those who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. Declare right now, as you go through this, I am going to rest with Jesus. I am going to take the opportunity to come aside and rest from the labors that I do day by day. I am going to take my rest with Jesus. I am let him give me my peace. My peace where I can be refreshed, because it's what he wants to bring into my life. In verse 29, Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. And in verse 30, For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. A lot of times we look at that word yoke and we get the idea of an ox or some other animal that will have this yoke on their neck, on their shoulders, and they're going to be pulling some sort of a cart, perhaps. I've seen this many times with bullock carts when I've been in India. But Jesus is saying, the things that I am going to bring upon you, though you might think it's a burden, it's not a burden. It's something that's light. And I'm going to go with you. And I'm going to help you carry this. Because I want to give you my rest. Now think about this. He said, my burden is light. He says, and you will find rest for your souls. I will give you rest. These are promises. These are promises for you from Jesus. Take up his yoke and find his rest. This is your day. Every day, make it your day, that at the end of the day, or even during the day, if you feel some sort of a stress and strain in your life, say, I'm picking up the yoke that Jesus has promised, and it will bring me rest. It will bring you peace, because in that rest you will find your peace. In your rest you will find your peace. So move forward with God. Let him bring you into that place where you will find you are at rest with God, with man, and with the universe, because you are walking with the God of the universe, who has said, I am going to give you my rest. He has given you a limitless future. Move with him and rest with him day by day. This is Douglas Allen Frazier, sending a blessing very simply in this: Shalom Shabbat.